Hello, I am at Adrian's house and we are tackling a new problem today. Normally we're just doing some gluten-free cooking, but we're changing the recipes up today and we're going to be doing gluten-free, dairy-free, and mostly sugar-free cooking. So we're going to make bread, and we're going to make graham crackers, and we're going to make a birthday cake. But we always start out with making the flour mixture first. So I have most of the ingredients here today. Actually, we are shy of the tapioca flour, so I get to mix it up a little bit more again. As you all probably are aware, my gluten-free flour mixture in the cookbook on page XV, or 15 for those of us people who do not speak Roman numeral, has tapioca flour in it as part of the recipe, but we're going to mix it up a little bit. I'll start out with, first of all, this is what I always recommend. You just use a big Ziploc baggie, and you pour all of your ingredients in here and shake it up really well so it mixes it up. You don't have to worry about having different levels of flours. The one that I have in here so far is cornstarch. I just went ahead and dumped the cornstarch in, and I'm doubling the recipe because we do need to make several different things today, and I want to leave Adrienne at her house with some extra flour so she's encouraged to continue to bake. So I went ahead and dumped the cornstarch in here, which is normally would be 1 cup, but it's 2 cups because I'm doubling. So that's the cornstarch, and then this is the potato starch, nice white crumbly potato starch. I'll dump that in there as well. Set that over to the side, and then we'll do some white rice flour. You can use sweet or regular, but I typically use regular unless I want a specialized recipe for sweet. We have only 1 cup of the corn flour. This is a very finely ground cornmeal that's called corn flour. If you cannot find corn flour and you find a corn meal that's extremely fine and you rub it in your hands, it doesn't feel gritty, then you're probably good to go. Just dump that in there. And then, since we do not have tapioca starch, which normally I would do 1 cup of the tapioca starch, what I'm going to do is pick another starch, a lightener, that might be comparable, and I think what I'm going to do, actually just to mix it up a little bit as an experiment, because I love to experiment, I'm going to do half of a cup of potato starch. Get in there. That's about actually 3/4 a cup, which is fine. And then I'm going to try something new today. I'm going to do amaranth flour, which is another gluten-free flour that adds kind of a nutty flavor to it. And it's not going to be in such a large dose that you're going to notice it too much, but it might add a little bit of depth to it. Again, the tapioca starch is very similar to your potato starch and your cornstarch. It acts as a lightener, and it's very finely ground, so you don't notice any grit like you do with a lot of the rice flours. You may notice a little bit with the amaranth flour, but since we're making some bread today, I think that'll be good. All right, we've got about a cup. We're going to dump that in. All right, and then the last but certainly not least is the xanthan gum, which, while expensive, we don't use a lot of it. I've, again, doubled the recipe, so I've put in 2 tablespoons plus 2 teaspoons of xanthan gum, which is basically going to be your substitute for gluten. It's your binder to hold your recipe together. If you notice, there's just everything's flying. Gluten-free flours are very, very fine, so you're going to have a mess on your hands once you're done making it. It's going to fly around. That's another good reason for this big Ziploc bag. As you can see, it's going to mix it all up really, really well. Again, this is a double recipe from what is in the cookbook. Very, very, very simple to make. I should encourage you all to go out and bake away. This is useful as an all-purpose flour in nearly every recipe. You have to experiment. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to handle it a little bit differently than a regular wheat-based flour, but it should still taste very yummy and should perform much better than most of the other gluten-free flours that are on the market. Very resilient and light, not gritty. Okay, there we go. We have a nice mixture of all-purpose flour mixture, and you can put this in a canister with a lid, a screw top, whatever you'd like to have in your house. You do not have to refrigerate it, although if you're going to sit on it for a long time and not cook, then you may want to refrigerate it just to keep it nice and safe and moisture-free. And we're going to set this aside and get ready for our first recipe. And these are all of the mixtures, ingredients that we've used, so I'll be taking these back and putting them in Ziploc bags to keep them fresh as well. Now, the first recipe that we're going to go with, I believe, is going to be probably the bread mixture. So we'll go ahead and put that in the bread maker, and we're going to have that cooking while we're making other stuff.